I will call the meeting to order. The special city council meeting, April 28th, 2021. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Ronnie Felder.
Here.
Chairperson Shirley Lanier.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Kashamba Miller Anderson.
Present.
Councilperson Trodrick McCoy.
Here.
Councilperson Douglas Lawson.
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Julia Botel.
Here.
City Manager Jonathan Evans.
Present.
Tawana Smith, Deputy City Clerk, is present. Don Wynn, City Attorney.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We will have a moment of silence led by the Pledge of Allegiance by Dr. Julie Botel. As you review the agenda for this evening, are there any additions, deletions, substitution from the board or from city staff?
None from staff, Madam Chair.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilperson McCoy.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chairperson Lanier.
Yes, and I forgot to ask each member of the board or staff, are there any disclosures by you in regards to this item that's on the agenda?
Not for me.
Okay? No, we'll go ahead. I'll get this. Please be reminded that the City Council, Please be reminded the City Council has adopted rules of decorum, public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. And in an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the council chair may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and/or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 p.m. unless there is no further business of the City Council, which in the event it shall begin sooner. In addition, if any item is being considered at 7:30, then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Any person who would like to speak during public comments, please fill out a public comment card located at the front desk and give it to staff before the public comment section is announced. Madam Clerk, could you read the first resolution, please?
Yes.
The only resolution.
Resolution number 4321, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, awarding ITN 1015-21-1 to Kaufman Land Construction, authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute an interim agreement between Kaufman Land Construction and the City of Riviera Beach to provide the design, build, finance, pre-development services for fire rescue facilities in an amount not to exceed $500,000, requiring a comprehensive development agreement to be submitted to the City Council for approval and providing an effective date. We do have one public comment card on this item. The
Make a
acceptance
motion.
of public comment cards are now closed.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 43-21.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public comments, please.
Yes, Ms. Doretta Park.
Right.
Just a second, they're gonna see if she's in the overflow room.
Okay, well, we can hold it. Let us go ahead. We can come back to that.
Okay.
She's here.
I'm very sorry.
That's
I'm very
okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
My name is Doretta Park, and I'm a citizen of Riviera Beach, And I want to speak out. We're talking about the fire department, right?
Yes,
Okay. I want to speak out highly for our fire department. I think that these women and men deserve a new fire department. To hear the revelations of these women and men using the bathroom behind a makeshift car maintenance is ludicrous. Our motto is the best place to live, work, and play. Let's make it like this for our firemen and our firewomen. These are the people that come to our defense when we definitely need it. So let's all be on board and vote for this. Everyone be on board and vote for this. Because without them, if we have a tragedy, what will we do? These men and women should be commended. And let's take care of them as they should be taken care of. Thank you very much.
thank you. Mr. Evans, you want to present this item, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. This item before you is Resolution 4321. This is a resolution that allows for us to move forward in the phases as it relates to the ITN. Staff has gone forward with a competitive solicitation process. Director Pimsel has more information that she will provide as part of this presentation, and you will have an opportunity to hear from the team, Kaufman-Lynn's team, with regards to their submission and then ultimately moving forward in the interim agreement and then ultimately coming back before the board for a long-term agreement. So at this time, if Ms. Pimsel can make the presentation.
Good evening, Chair Lanier, Mayor Felder, City Council, and City Administration. I'm really pleased to be able to come to you tonight with this project. I can tell you that staff has been very excited about the opportunity to be able to even issue a solicitation for this project and to be able to present to you tonight the firm that will discuss what they're offering the city in return. For the record, my name is Althea Pemzo. I'm the Director of Procurement. On December 20th, 2020, we presented a discussion item to the council to talk about the ITN, invitation to negotiate, that we were going to issue for Fire Station 88, in particular fire rescue facilities overall. So we issued that on January the 3rd, the ITN 1015-21-1 for design, build, finance for fire rescue facilities. On January 26th, we held a pre-proposal conference. We had roughly 40 persons in attendance and over 60 attendees online. And that's a conservative number because there could have been 10 people in one room for the sign-up. So we could have had even more than 60. We did outreach to business developers. These are people that have listservs through Construction Journal, Construct Inc., and other professional organizations such as the NIGP, as well as the Southeast Florida Co-op and their supplier base. In preparation for the solicitation to be returned, on March 8th, we held a evaluation committee training. We wanted procurement to ensure that the committee understood that in reviewing solicitations of this magnitude, and any solicitation for that matter, that we are to understand what the criteria is and base our evaluations on the criteria that's in the proposals that we received. We then talked about what it means to analyze them and to ensure if there's any questions or any additional information that the evaluation committee required to be able to move forward, that they would know what the mechanism was to be able to ask questions, and that if they were not comfortable, any pieces of information that they required, it was my role to be able to ensure that that information was received so that they can make an adequate evaluation. Some of the things we discussed was the evaluation criteria, the obtaining of the additional information, and the procurement process overall, and more importantly, the basis on which the scoring should be made. The statistical data for this solicitation was that it reached out from, it was placed on Demand Star, which is our bidding software. It reached 1,385 firms, and of that number, 71 firms actually downloaded the solicitation packet, and resulting from 2 proposals being received. The proposals were received from the P3 Group, Inc. and Kaufman Lind Construction. The 2 proposals were received by procurement and then subsequently evaluated by the committee in a duly noticed meeting on March 31st, 2021. At the evaluation meeting again, we did a review of what the training was and instructions on how the evaluation was to take place. The results of the evaluation meeting is in your packet, the scores and the proposal and the solicitation. Although the goal was to have all firms present to the council, the P3 Group, Inc. withdrew its proposal from consideration on March 31st. In keeping with the solicitation requirements, this meeting is for a presentation from the evaluated firm, along with a presentation from our financial advisor, PFM, and Mr. Bailey will bring up the rear with an update on Walgreens site demolition. Are there any questions?
Yes, I want to ask, did you say that somebody pulled out?
Yes, the P3 Group, Inc. withdrew.
So there were 2 firms,
There were 2 firms, yes.
so there was just one left, okay,
Yes, we evaluated both firms, and then 1 firm withdrew.
okay. Are there any other questions from the board for Mrs. Pemson? Yes, go ahead, sir.
Me?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple questions, and you know, I didn't hear in the order that you just gave, Ms. Penzl. I guess I have a question about what's being asked of us of the $500,000. I want to know where those dollars came from. So should I wait for that, Ms. Penzl? Are we going to hear from our finance director regarding that, Mr. Evans?
Staff can address that particular matter as it relates to the resolution that staff is requesting you to move forward with this evening. Incorporated in that is items that are required to move forward with the construction process. So it is monies that is set aside for site work, engineering, architectural, those types of things. And actually, the P3 statute prescribes exactly what is to be incorporated in that particular interim agreement. So it's merely the mechanisms or the things to allow for us to move forward with the pre-construction process to be able to then bring the longer term agreement back to the board. So this is to start the process so we can move forward with the anticipated opening date of the station in October of 2022.
Follow up. So, Mr. Evans, I'm asking what fund does the dollars come from? Because it's not.
We have actually have funds set aside for this particular project because we did discuss in the past the possibility of looking to fund the station in and of itself. And so we have approximately $4 million that is set aside for this particular project as seed money in the event that we were going to go forward with not utilizing the financing mechanism, and then we would look to appropriate additional monies in subsequent fiscal years to complete the project. But there is $4 million that is set aside for this project.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair.
You're recognized.
I just had a question regarding the firm that withdrew. Did they provide a reason why they withdrew?
No, they did not.
Okay.
And upon inquiry, I did not receive a reason why they withdrew.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair.
You're recognized, Councilman
Thank you, Madam
Lawson.
Chair. Ms. Pemsel, thank you for your work on this proposal. You mentioned that there were 40 in attendance in person and so over 60 businesses online. Did you get any response or feedback as to why we only received 2 proposals total?
That's really hard for me to say. All I can say is that we did do the outreach that we reached out using our professional network. We reached out using bidding services, Construction Journal and Construct-Inked, and we also used our listserv. While I am surprised that we only received 2 proposals, given the participation that we had at both the in-person and the online meeting, there may be some rumblings, as it were, that prevented that from happening, but I know we did everything within our power to ensure the widest distribution and the widest advertisement was done. It was advertised in the newspaper, and it was also advertised in, again, other professional organizations.
Okay. Well, what I would ask then is, we did do an adequate job with promoting and advertising the solicitation, but we have a couple $1 billion of development over the next few years. I want to see if you can reach out to the firms that actually attended to inquire as to why they did not participate, and also get some feedback so that we can kind of be aggressive in our approach moving forward. The proposals that I reviewed were adequate for me. I'm excited about the proposals because I've gone through page by page by page. I'm excited to hear from the firms to move forward. But for future reference, if we can kind of get some additional insight from other firms as to what was the hindrance behind why they didn't actually come to the table. And second thing, I think if we get this project off the ground and move this forward, the business sector will believe in our city and believe that we're really about moving forward. So thank you, Ms. Pimsel. Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board for Mrs. Pimsel? Very well, we'll move on. Next
Thank you.
presentation, please.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
with regards to a question that was posed to staff as it relates to the P3 group, we do have an email that was sent dated April 1st, and if it's basically to summarize the email, that the P3 group felt that the evaluation process was biased, unfair, and frankly, at times disrespectful. As our corporate philosophy, we do not participate in responses or solicitations where it is obvious that the process and scoring protocol published will not be followed. So, pursuant to the we only pursue opportunities in communities that we feel need and welcome resources that we offer. And so that is their submission or their response in regards to why they withdrew from the process.
Madam Chair.
You recognize, sir.
So if I can have a moment to just kind of follow up. Mr. Manager, those are some very strong allegations that's been suggested. Was there a protest filed?
No, sir.
Okay, did you, I guess, for administration and for procurement to take any action or even inquire further, is there anything within your discretion that you would have been able to see if there was any basis to those claims? Because I'm offended, right, that somebody would sit here and suggest that absent of a protest. And I'm asking you, Mr. Evans, is there any, I guess, any authority that you have to kind of follow up on that? Because I think that is very unfair to us as a city to suggest something like that in a record without doing a formal protest. Because if that's true, we have a duty as members of this body as well as administration to make sure that it's done properly. And I don't want to submit to ignoring that, but if it's certainly something within your authority, I would ask that you look into it, because that doesn't make me feel comfortable being a member of this body who has a solemn oath to uphold the law and be fair in our processes. So I'm a little bothered by those remarks that you made relative to the P3 group.
Yes, Councilperson, you're correct that if they would have still continued in on the process, they would in essence have standings, and as prescribed by the code and the protest process, then there would be a formal inquiry and an investigation as to those particular allegations. So when they did withdraw out of the process, they in fact eliminated themselves from standing, and so we did not go any further because they are not participating in the selection process. The two entities, ultimately, staff discussed that 3 entities would be coming before the board to make the presentation. So once 2 entities were evaluated, they were both going to get their opportunity, such as today, to make their presentations to the board, and ultimately you as the policymakers would make the final determination as to who would be the entity that we would work with as it relates to this particular project. Staff did ministerial duties and facilitated the evaluation process, but ultimately the decision resides with this board, and they would have been provided the same opportunity that the group today is provided to share why they are a better company, in essence, to provide this if they chose to stay in the process. But once they eliminated themselves from consideration, they do not have any more standing, so we did not move any further in the inquiry.
Madam Chair, last follow-up.
Yes, go ahead.
I appreciate that, Mr. Evans, but, I would have almost liked it not to hear that, because that just offends, the people that we have working on that. And that was a voluminous solicitation. And to suggest that, I don't even think that we should even, and I appreciate your openness, but it didn't even dignify the energy that you gave it if they didn't have the fortitude to follow up with a formal protest, but will literally attack the process and the people that work hard at it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions in regards to Mrs. Pimsell's presentation? Hearing none, Mr. Evans?
Madam Chair, it is the pleasure of the board. If you'd like to hear from the Kaufman-Lynn Group, their team is here to be able to provide any answers or responses in regards to the inquiry. But I really do think there's a lot of value to hear some of the things specific to what this board has communicated with regards to community participation and making sure that we create that wealth in our community and that the community actually participates in this particular project. And so I think it would be exciting as well as, informative to the members of the public as well as the board to hear from the Kaufman-Lynn Group with regards to their vision for this particular project and how they look to forge a long-standing relationship with Riviera Beach as we look at subsequent facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Zalkin with Kaufman-Lynn Construction. Right before I start, I actually want to address something that I wasn't planning on, that wasn't planned part. I want to commend actually the staff and the city. It's been a very transparent process. Even the evaluation, I encourage you, I know it was recorded, it was virtual, and we got to almost see it more open because of that than typically. And I encourage you, if there's any doubt on whether it was staff was evaluating and what they were evaluating, you all can see that as well. And so I almost take offense because we were the other firm and it wasn't just an attack on you, it seems like it was an unsubstantiated attack on us as well. So now we're going to put that aside and we're going to focus on the partnership. And really, it's our honor to be here, mayor, council, city manager, chief, directors, residents, because it really is a partnership. We heard it loud and clear that it was a partnership, and it's not just about the building. It's bigger than the building, but that happens to be the physical structure that it's centered around. And I'm actually going to turn it over to begin with because this partnership wasn't created because of me and Kaufman-Lynn. It actually was created because of Ann McNeil and MCO Construction, who talked about this way back when it was first discussed amongst your group. First time anyone's ever said I'm too tall for the mic, so I'm going to take it. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to our team leader, Ann McNeil.
Do you mind if I take this one? Thank you. Good evening. Let's try that again. Good evening. Good evening. This is an exciting time. My name is Ann McNeil, and I am the master builder, helping to build stronger and better lives and community. But I'm also born and raised in the beautiful city of Riviera Beach, Florida. Can I get a hand? So I say that because it gives me great honor to stand here and propose a team approach to support the vision of the city. And I pulled this from the site. It says, one city, one vision, one smart business technology solution. The mission of the city is to provide the people of Riviera Beach with reliable, secure, sound business and technology solutions that increases productivity, fosters education to our residents, employees, and businesses while engaging directly with the community and aligning its strategic goals to the business goals and the vision of this great city. And I wanted to open with that because what we're proposing tonight to you is exactly what your mission and vision suggest. And so our presentation is centered around that. We're going to demonstrate the effective community involvement, effective fire station facilities, effective financing for the city. Next. Thank you. Our team qualifications will be discussed, the community involvement and the project details and the financing, also with our timeline. And as a part of our qualifications for the team, we have before us, of course, Mike Hoffman, you'll hear from him, and myself, Ann McNeil, and I've owner of MCO Construction. Our finance, you're going to hear from our finance team, municipal acquisitions, the design, CSA architects. Also, along with Mr. Brown, you'll hear from that team. And part of the building team will be all three of our firms, Kaufman, MCO, and Mr. Brown. The community outreach, which we will discuss that in detail, will be myself along with Mr. Brown, which we are creating an opportunity for many of the community organized organizations to be a part of that. Again, Ann McNeil, first Black female contractor in the state of Florida, operating at the level that we do. We focus on billion-dollar programs across the state. I am certified MBE construction manager, specializing in public facilities, and I have actually been in this industry as a licensed general contractor. I actually hold personally 2 general contracting licenses, not 1, but I personally hold 2. And I do own the business 100% by myself. So just in case there's any questions, if there's a husband or somebody behind me, my husband is my boyfriend and he supports me 100%, but I do own this business by myself. And I say that because there are some great things and people that come out of this great city. And this is my 3rd time coming before the council in the last 30 years looking to do business here. And so by the grace of God, you will make your decision about what you want to do, but we will make this presentation and show you the best we have to offer. Many years ago, for those of you that know that remember Miss Herring, I made a commitment to Miss Mary Herring that I was going to help, she and I would do a program called For Pride, to increase the pride of the city by identifying individuals like myself and others who were born and raised with in the city and come back. And she died before we were able to do that. So I'm partnering with Dan Calloway, and every Sunday at 2 p.m., we host a podcast called #IamRivieraBeach. And we've invited many individuals to come on that show, and I'm very excited about that. And so next, please. So with that, I'll reintroduce Jeff, and he'll share about Kaufman Lynn. Thank you.
So who is Kaufman Lynn? Well, Kaufman Lynn, we were a small business founded here by Mike Kaufman, here in Palm Beach County. And we've grown to be a much larger firm. So we are a success story of this area. And we specialize in public agency work. So what you're trying to do is an area of expertise. For, specifically fire station, we built 9 fire stations. And probably more importantly, in terms of the facility, we have 4 currently in design right now, getting ready to go. So that means we really understand the latest and greatest and how they've evolved over times and how it's done locally, because doing a fire station in South Florida is different than everyone else. Hurricanes, the requirements, it's just different, and we understand that. Here's a sampling. You see several we built, a couple on the bottom that are upcoming. We've done 1-story, 2-story, 4, 5 bay, almost every variation of a fire station, combination EOC. We've done it, and we've done it in conjunction with a lot of those with our partner, Jess with CSA Architects.
Jeff, thank you for not having me follow directly after Ann. And that was great. Good evening. My name is Jeff Sowards. I'm a principal with CURRIE, SOWARDS, AGUILA Architects. My firm's a 52-year-old firm located in Delray Beach. And for the past 28 years, we've been designing fire stations. And actually 29 fire stations within South Florida that have been completed. And we currently have an ongoing contract with the Palm Beach County Fire Department. And we're currently evaluating all their county fire stations. You see them all dashed around, dotted around here. And we're taking them through evaluations. We're designing a prototype for them. We're doing remodeling, and we're also doing new facilities. So do we know fire stations? Yes, we know fire stations.
Good evening, Council, Chairperson, Pro Tem Miller Anderson, City Manager, Mayor, and Council. My name is Vincent Brown, proud owner of Brown Electrical Solutions. Guys, just have to give me a moment. I honestly can't even believe that I'm standing up here. So many times station that we're building right now. We're currently working on the apparatus bay. That's where the fire trucks drive in and up at. And this project, we should be finished by the end of the year is what we're planning on without any hiccups. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm John Kling with Municipal Acquisitions. First off, I just want to thank the council for having us here in person. I operate in the public sector, and any other year I would have made dozens of in-person presentations. This is my first time in person, and I just want to express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to meet you all in person. Municipal Acquisitions is a nationwide real estate developer and investor focused exclusively on public sector real estate opportunities. Although we have never invested in a fire station, 100% of our portfolio is mission critical, essential purpose real estate assets.
You go to the next slide. Okay. So our commitment here in making a difference, and Mr. Brown alluded to it a few minutes ago. If you can go to the next slide. We're focusing on the local outreach, basically looking at creating a pipeline. Like I said, I went to junior high, elementary school, and all of that here, and graduated from Suncoast. And I'm very clear about the need for us, if we can see it, we can be it. And so what we're looking to do on this project to start is to look at creating a pipeline, being mentors and proteges for junior high school, and high school kids, partnering with a number of local organizations to make that happen. Next slide, please. Our commitment here is a 30% SBE commitment. The commitment for African American firms is at 15%. Next slide. Now, being born and raised in Riviera Beach, I'm very clear about the commitment that the city has for local involvement in terms of identifying individuals who are in business right here in the city in terms of either certified or helping them get certified to be a part of this project, and that's a part of our commitment. So we're looking at making a $150,000 educational training investment whereby we're going to sponsor 20 students from the city from John F. Kennedy to be a part of our electrical program with Mr. Brown, and a part of another 20 students from the city that would be a part of our firefighter program. Next slide, please. And the project details we have. Thank you.
Well, now I get to follow you. So just a little bit about some of the project details. We understand that this facility needs to be a first-class facility. It needs to be functional. It needs to be built to last. And I know the chief had talked in the pre-proposal meeting, a station that's going to last for the next 50 years through technology and materials. And we know that. We know how to do that with them. The other thing we understand is that the speed that we're under the gun to get this going. So we took the liberty of taking the plans that were created in the ITN proposal And we've already created this in our BIM model. So we've taken those plans, we've got it ready to go, and that's how we're able to create these renderings. So one of the things we want to do is we want to talk about the different looks. And for instance, if it wants to be like the Marine Event Center that we're in, a Florida vernacular, we can add the siding, we can add the brackets, metal roofs, give it that Florida vernacular feel. Another option is it could be something more contemporary with different materials, a flat roof and extended awnings. All of these are things that we can do to work together as we work with the fire chief and his department, stakeholders, to develop what this is, what the branding is for the city. That's what we will do and bring to the table. I won't get into too many details with fire station design and fire rescue facilities, but basically one of the main things that we're looking at today are these zones. We got 3 major zones that we're looking at, and it's mainly to prevent cross-contamination of contaminant materials, especially today where secure and safe is so important. The red zone, we'll go to the next slide. The red zone is what we call the hot zone, and that's where contaminant materials come in from a site, from an incident, et cetera. And we don't want those crossing into the green zone, which is the living area. And the yellow zone is that transition. Think of it as like an air vestibule, or an airlock. So that's a transition zone to protect our firefighters from contaminants. The other thing that we've learned over the last 30 years ago, they were doing bunk rooms that were one big bunk room where everybody slept in one room. So our first station, we started the trend where we started doing individual bunk rooms. Then followed after that was we got rid of the gang bathrooms. So now we got individual bathrooms. And part of the reason for that transition was more and more women came into the force, came into the departments. So they needed that separation. Some other things, other little details that we consider is that we found out through doing so many stations is what everybody deals with in every place, temperature control. So each individual dorm room can have their own AC, VRF system for temperature control because I'm too hot, I'm too cold, etc. We also have individual lighting controls, sound insulation. Like, my wife says I snore. I know I don't, but she says I do. And this, of course, the security control, the card access, etc., and personal storage. And having done so many stations, some retrofit stations, we've learned other things such as where the apparatus come in and out. There's a weakness there, and that's because some of these apparatus weighs as much as 86,000 pounds. So we've learned lessons over the time, details, how constructability. We've done this with Kaufman Linn. We have that understanding of making these buildings last for the next 50 years.
Perfect. Let's go to the next slide. So I mentioned earlier that the proposal that we have included in the ITN response is virtually identical to the financial structure that we used to construct the Broward College building in Miramar. In this case, as in that case, we will enter into a land lease from the city of Riviera Beach, where Riviera Beach is leasing to us. As landlord, we are the tenant. We will cause the building of the facility under a design-build agreement directly with Kaufman Linn, where we're assuming financial responsibility for cost overruns, delays. Basically, if there is not an emergency vehicle, an apparatus in the building providing public safety services, you will not be financially responsible, we will be. So in every respect, I think we intend to de-risk the transaction to the city as we did in the situation with Broward College. I also want to say that we raise our money from large institutional investors, insurance companies, pension funds, and large family offices. We have already allocated the funds required to complete this investment at very attractive rates. The interest was very high among our investors, so I do want to report that We have further de-risked the transaction. We further de-risked the transaction to you through successful allocation of funds, and also once we get a little bit further into the documentation phase, we'll be able to lock in a cost of funds sufficient to cause the construction of the building. And I think that's very important today in a rising rate environment. It's quite challenging, to project future costs when interest rates are escalating, quite rapidly. So let's go to the. Yes.
One thing before I go to the timeline of events, I want to sort of bring out a point that John mentioned it earlier, but may have been a little missed. The Broward College project, that contract, that former agreement, the same basic agreement you're looking to do, went through lawyers for Broward College, went through lawyers for FIU because they subleased the space, so their board had to bless it and lawyers had to bless it. Went to the state of Florida in the governor's office, and their lawyers had to look at it and bless it. So in essence, we know you're going to have your lawyer, John, your lawyers look at it, but you've already gotten the benefit of 4 other lawyers vetting out the agreement before you even see the basis. So that we think is a real advantage for the timeline of events, because we know it can get done, because we know it got done, and we know it did in the state of Florida for the state of Florida. Now, the timeline events, one of the big advantages of the P3 process is we have the ability to overlap all these avenues to get the finance. While that interim agreement's going, we're going to say, and we understand it's at our own risk, to say, Chief, can we get together with you and the stakeholders and review the plan so we're already getting the drawings ready, so when that agreement's done, it's not, okay, start the clock, it's, okay, get moving. Same with the community benefits. We want to meet with you, we want to go through our ideas, we want your input so we can really custom tailor it, and we want to make that happen and not wait for that to happen. So all these things overlap, and that's a real benefit not only of getting it open in October, as we showed you in a more detailed schedule in our proposal, but we showed you how it can happen. It's because we're able to do that. That's a real advantage of P3 for 2 aspects, speed and cost. And let me go over a little of the speed. The traditional methods, and this could be off a month here or a month there. You guys are the experts at sort of what you do, but we've done a lot of public sector. So doing the financing yourself, lining it all up, you're probably looking at a 4 to 6 month process to getting that. Then you go out for design, RFQ process. Typically, if all goes well, it's 3.5 months, because you got to advertise it, all the things you did for the ITN. Advertise it, get the responses back, evaluate it, then get the approvals. Then you have to go through the design and then go through the construction. So you're looking at probably a 2 to 2.5 year process under a traditional. The P3, the big advantage of the reason why the state of Florida passed the bill to do it was it really compresses that, and speed is an advantage. And speed matters now, because not only does it meet your deadline of getting it open by the end of 2022, it's cost. I can tell you right now, COVID did not make construction costs go down. It made it go up, and it's almost accelerating right now in terms of what we're seeing. So you can count on a year delay is going to be probably over 5%. So just taking round numbers, if that's a $12 million bucket, that's over $500,000. If that's a $30 million bucket, that's over $1.5 million, just doing the same thing, but having it done later. And Vincent, you and I were talking, why don't you share the electrical side, what you're seeing, and this is real world pricing.
Yeah, good evening again. So just in copper prices and raw goods, copper has gone up about 120% from August to April of this year. So like I mentioned, right now we're doing Heron Estates. We're in negotiations with that contractor because while the raw goods are going up, it slowed down the process. So even lumber has gone up tremendously. A sheet of plywood was $14, now it's $75. So the longer we wait, the higher the goods are going up. It's just a domino effect.
I remember not talking about this, but a typical 3-bay fire station years ago, 3-bay, 1-story, 9,000 square feet, was $2.5 million. Now it's $6.5 million. Construction costs, not all in costs. We're talking just construction costs. So this is, we think, real advantage of what you're doing, and compliments to you for doing it, because you will save that and benefit from that. Now, it is my honor to bring up Mike Kaufman, CEO and founder of Kaufman Lynn, to give you our corporate and personal commitment.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening. Mayor, council members, community members, and our fire chief and staff. It is truly an honor to be here tonight to speak to you. We greatly appreciate this opportunity. We take it very seriously and bring all of our expertise, multifaceted, as you've seen, through design, finance, construction, even our subcontract specialty, here to bear and bring real value to the city. That is the proposition that we're proposing. The process you've chosen to take is a smart process, especially during these times of abundant construction activity, supply chain problems, and cost increases. Getting the building in the ground as quickly as possible will save the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a very smart process. I come to you with a special affinity for fire stations. Now, Kaufman Lynn, as you've heard, has built many of them. We've built fire training facilities, vehicle and apparatus maintenance facilities. And the one common factor amongst all those projects, totaling up around 20 jobs, are our end users, our firefighters, our fire chief, what they need, what they must have to live, work, and even play sometimes productively in the firehouses that we build. My dad was a firefighter. The biggest thrill I had when I was a little boy was going to the firehouse, and I had that luxury of climbing on the apparatus and occasionally putting my dad's helmet on that weighed like 14 pounds and was tough to support. But I do have it very near and dear to my heart. Kaufman Lynn, along with Municipal Acquisitions, Ms. Ann, Mr. Brown, proposes to you a team that has established working relationships. I've been working with Ann for over 20 years. We've been working with John, Municipal Acquisitions, for now going on 10 years, and successfully produced a very productive building for FIU and Broward College under this same exact format. And Jess and CURRIE, SOWARDS, and Kaufman Lynn have been working for 30 years together. So there is no learning curve from our side of the table. We know each other, we know our strengths, we know where we need to support each other. We do it effortlessly and with kindness and love. That solves a lot of problems in a construction project. We eliminate all of that by being together. It's a really powerful team, and we will ensure delivery. Kaufman Lynn is known for our ability to finish projects quickly, finish them very competitively priced. We stay in the market, we have to stay competitive, and our quality is unsurpassed. We will provide you a building that does not leak, that does not have water intrusion, that all the plumbing, and there's a lot of plumbing in these fire stations, work. And if something is not functioning exactly the way it needs to, we will be there to fix it immediately, whether it's 1 year after the project is done or within that first year warranty, or it's 4 years later. We take pride in our work. We love our firefighters. Again, I got a special affinity for those brave men and women, and we will provide you a very, very standout building that will serve the community well for the next 50 years. We will do it in a way where your taxpayers save money, and we will do it in a way where we embrace and engage and bring the community together rather than just build a building. We will do it with kindness. We will do it with passion. We will do it with love, and we will deliver you a project you'll be very proud of. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
I would like for Chief Curd, if the board doesn't have any additional questions for the team, to provide some remarks with regards to the project.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, John Curd, Fire Chief. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to simply hear what is being proposed. As you all know, we've been beating this drum for years, and we've been kicking this can down the road even longer than that. My staff is here in support of you all and making sure that we let you know how appreciative we are that you all are even considering this endeavor. Had a conversation with the firefighter today, and we were having some small talk at the training grounds, and we were talking about the stations and what we're doing, and they said, you know, Chief, you're working to build quite a legacy. And I really didn't see it that way, because I'm just here to tell you what we need. You all are the ones that are actually going to provide it. So it's actually this council's legacy that we're going to be talking about, and my men and women deserve this more than any other municipality in Palm Beach County. They work hard for this community. They're always giving and supporting this community. And again, we can't thank you all enough for your consideration moving forward on this project.
Thank you.
Madam
Yes.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
staff's ready to get to work.
All right, very good. Are there any questions from the board in regards to the presentation that was presented this evening?
Yeah, so do we have something from PFM? I seen.
Yes, PFM is online if the board had any questions with regards to the funding mechanism and how that would work, but there is still additional information and details that has to be provided, so we can't give you a specific what a lease payment would look like. But if there was any questions with regards to the concept that we're entertaining, they were on the line, but there's not specificity we can provide. That will come in the final agreement that will come back before this board.
I just have a comment, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say how pleased I am with tab number 9, which talks about the involvement of the students and the apprenticeships. And, you know, as an educator, this is near and dear to my heart, and I thank you so much for including this component of this program. It is a beautiful design as well. I do have one question. At what point will you decide which of the two presentations, which of the two designs that you're going to use? Will that be driven by the community, or is that something that...
We will work with you to develop the timeline that decision you make, but it's your decision.
Okay.
You know, it's not ours. It's with the fire chief, with the council, with you all and staff. It's for you to decide what kind of look you want for the community. So, and just even, you know, he mentioned earlier, we can modify, we can tweak, it's modeled out, so it can be, doesn't have to be specifically A or B. The final one could be C, which is exactly what you want.
Okay. Thank you. Bravo.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, you're recognized.
Well, I didn't have any questions. I think the presentation spoke for itself, and I do appreciate you all following through and seeing it through the whole process and being able to be up here before us so that we can get to work in getting our fire station done. And I know Chief Curd and the firefighters are ecstatic about the opportunity that will be coming before them very soon. And of course, you know, we look to do many more projects like this, and, you know, I hope the community understands that, you know, as a board, and I'm sure everybody can agree, we're really trying to, you know, make some changes and positive changes and things that people can be proud of in the city of Riviera Beach. And speaking of being proud, I do want us to give a hand to Mr. and Mrs. Brown. I know he has Mrs. Brown right here too, and she's in his corner. And Ms. McNeil, because, you know, as they spoke earlier, you know, unfortunately, a lot of our homegrown businesses don't always benefit from some of the work that we have going on in the city. And I can speak from experience. When my husband and I first started our construction company, we had difficulties. I mean, it was a lot of trouble, and unfortunately, it was something that happened that didn't need to happen. And I want to make sure that the public understands, as far as I'm concerned, we're open for business, and I'm sure the board agrees as well. We're open for business, and we want to always do things above board. And, you know, being that we only had the 2, then we got down to 1, that is a concern for me, and I do appreciate Mr. Lawson trying to find out exactly why are people not coming, and why they're not following through, because we want to do business with everyone. But I appreciate you all, and I just wanted to give kudos to our homegrown, and so thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you. I just also want to say that I'm really, really, really impressed with Mr. Brown and Mrs. McNeil being equity partners instead of subs for this project. This is something that very rarely happens. So I'm very impressed with the fact that this was put together in such a way that everybody is considered to be equal partners in this project. So we're looking forward to getting started with this project. We're looking forward to finishing this project and moving to bigger and better things for the city. If there isn't any other questions, Madam Clerk, could you call the question?
Madam Chair?
Sorry?
Yes, sorry, there's a few more questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Ann McNeil, you stated that earlier this was your 3rd time coming before the council. Have you been awarded any other projects before?
No.
Okay. So as a homegrown resident, I want to commend you for coming back to the city multiple times. Thank you so much for believing in the city and believing in this council and the staff that we have currently put in place, because this team is looking to move forward with the opportunity of continuing to develop and grow our city. And with the one proposal that's here on this table, we're ecstatic to be able to move forward with this vote, because essentially this is what we believed in that we would bring to the city. The 30% SPE commitment, that's phenomenal. From day one, we've talked about local minority women participation in our community, and we have all of that. You did that without even a disparity study being completed, a requirement that is done on the county level, on the state level, on national level. But being that we're still working on a disparity study, this was presented to us and you heard our cries. So that is phenomenal, the fact that this is a part of this participation. Mr. Brown, thank you for being a part of the city, for being a tax-paying resident of the city, and for bringing this proposal. So I am ecstatic. I'm ready for us to move forward as a dais to getting this major accomplishment done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I think we have to hear from Mr. Terrence Bailey. He's listed on here.
Madam Chair, I can summarize that. And
thank you.
Not saying that, you know, his presentation will be long, but
we're about ready to vote. So maybe the less said, the better.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
We are moving forward with regards to the demolition of the Walgreens facility. That facility should be demolished in the next 4 weeks. Actually, apparatus is being deployed on site within the next coming days, so you'll start seeing some of the exterior demolition occur. So staff is moving forward with that process to get the site ready for the construction of the new Fire Station 88.
Thank you. Are there any other questions before I call this question? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Councilperson McCoy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Botel?
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Chairperson Lanier?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion is approved 5-0. Our next item on the agenda is discussion by the city manager.
Madam Chair, for the sake of everyone's time, I have no comments this evening.
Yes, thank you. Discussion by city attorney.
No comments, Madam Chair.
We'll start with Councilman Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Evans, for the funding process, when you come before the table and we talk about the funding, can you give a detailed synopsis of funding from the city and then also using the organization that's presented, just so that we could see the comparison in dollars, percentage we're paying, time frame, just so that we can make the best decision, because we have a lot of other ventures we have to explore, so we want to make sure that we have our funding diversified, whether it's using this entity and then using some of the other funds that we have available and our capital that we have available to invest into establishing and growing and developing more of our community.
Madam Chair, if I may, yes, staff is going to bring a comprehensive report that's going to provide options to the board and then seek direction as how the board wants to proceed, whether it's we go out for bonding, whether we utilize municipal acquisitions, or we look to fund it cash on hand or what have you. But you will have all those options in a comprehensive analysis with recommendations from staff and PFM.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
If they could encompass the time frame, the interest rates on both sides, whether we cash pay versus cash paying with some of the funds that we have, and then also increases to residents, fire assessments, and I know we're going to be looking at water plants as well, so we want to look at the rate is increase for the water rate as well. So it's having all those, a synopsis of everything.
That could be accomplished, no problem, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Before we go to the next person, Madam Clerk, public comments.
Yes, 7:30.
Yeah, but we're not end of our comments, so we want to go ahead and do public comments now, okay?
All right, you want to read it into the record, the disclaimer?
Yes. Please be reminded, the City Council has adopted rules of decorum for public comment during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the council chair may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Public comment shall begin at 7:30 p.m. unless there is no further business of the City Council, which in the event it shall be sooner. In addition, if any item is being considered at 7:30, the comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Any person who would like to speak during public comments, please fill out a public comment card located at the front desk and give it to the staff before the public comment section is announced.
Thank you. Ms. Doretta Polk, and after her will be Mr. Lloyd Brown. That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good.
Well, good evening again.
Good evening.
And hearing the developers bring their proposal, it was phenomenal. Wonderful. This is a win-win situation for all the citizens of Riviera Beach, our firefighters, and most of all, our children, where they're going to bring apprenticeship to our children. That's a win-win. And I thank you all so very much. And I want to commend Chief Gerd. He's done a very, very outstanding job with our vaccinations. I had a friend who's now in a wheelchair, and she's not doing too well. And they didn't have the facility. She's from Gaines, could have gone to Gaines Park, but she needed to stay in her car and get the vaccinations. And he took the time out to understand the situation and said, yes, bring her to our facility. I want to commend you for doing that. And I thank you very much for doing that, because she didn't have that offered to her at Gaines. They said that she had to go to Pompano, but she's a very kind person, and I hate that she has that situation going on with her. But thank you. Thank you. And I commend you all also making the facilities for the women, firefighter women, because they need their access to their own quarters, sleeping, and toiletry. They need that. And then the men can have theirs. But that's very good. That's coming up to the 21st century, and I'm sure a lot of fire stations already have those communities. But I thank you very much, and I appreciate everything. and I'm glad this is going forward. And I thank you, Mr. Evans, for all you do for the city and all the council. And we all have to work together. When we all work together, we'll have more developers coming in. But we can't have this divisiveness. And I just thank you all for all what you all do. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lord Brown. I thank you because the heat play tonight and I'll be getting out of here early. But, you know, I have a lot of things I want to talk about. I see the signs over there by Monroe Heights and they want participation from, you know, the public on whatever they're going to do over there with this canal. Well, anyway, see, I lived here, like, yesterday was for 67 years I lived in Riviera. Okay. And they removed the canal down the street for me, like you were talking about making more space on Blue Heron Boulevard for this other thing. I see the signs out there. Well, let me tell you, now Miss Lane, she has to get flood insurance because when they remove the canal, my street now, if it rains really hard, the water comes all the way up to Willie House because I got me one of those little boards and I went, you know, sliding around in it. And what I'm trying to say, over there by Monroe Heights, where that canal is, if you close that canal in, okay, and it doesn't flood out, I won't come in here and bother you anymore with any bad problems. But on the same hand, if it floods out, will y'all resign? If you let these people come in there and close that canal? Because if you close it, you have a lift station right there. And just like a septic tank, okay, the water level is rising. So now you got a lift station there. So you telling me when you close that canal off, that means it's going to flood more. So if that lift station is there, that means that flood is going to, some of that water is going to come out just like a septic tank. And if this individual who want to build over there don't want to accept the room he has, then don't let him build there because those people will have to get flood insurance. Because I'm going to tell you, you can talk to my friend Miss Lane right now before they close that canal on my street. It was, I don't know if you can name it's an avenue, but it comes from Silver Beach Road, right by the park. It used to be a canal there, and we never had a flood on my street. But as soon as they close that canal off, now, if it rains really hard, our avenue floods out because I done pulled people through there. I done went there to get people who stuck in there. So if this individual, that's the main thing I'm looking at. If this individual wants to build there, tell him to go somewhere else, or are you going to resign if it floods out? Because I won't come here and bother you no more if it don't. So y'all have a nice day. The game come on, and there's going to be a change, I think, on these next elections. Honestly, people talk good about you and people talk bad, but I mean, it's going to be a change. I talk to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Happy birthday, sir. Is that public comment?
That's it.
Councilman McCoy?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Botel?
Just to say thank you again, and I appreciate the fact that prior to the meeting, Chief Curd answered a lot of the questions that I had, so I appreciate his time and effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Miller-Anderson?
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Evans and his team because I know without all of them trying to put the pieces together, we would not be sitting here talking about this at this time. And I think it'd be very nice to see a new building in the city of Riviera Beach. And, you know, this board, I appreciate you all a lot because, you know, we could say we were able to get a project done. So thank you so much, board. Thank you, residents.
Thank you. I just also like to piggyback off of that, saying that I thank Mr. Evans, Mrs. Pimsel, and her staff for bringing this to us and making sure that it was done correctly, that it was done above board, that there was no foul play, that there was no hidden agenda, that this process was carried out fairly. Has been recorded. There are score sheets, and anyone who wants to view this process can view it. So I just wanted to make it clear that the process that got us to this point was a fair process, and we are happy to have the firm that we do have. And with that being said, meeting is adjourned.